Welcome to Your Life Reset, a Virta Health podcast series. I'm your host, Teresa Link, and in this series, we'll hear from people on their Virta journey, the wins, failures, moments of adversity, and moments of joy they're experiencing along the way. So sit back, relax, and listen as we unwrap the truly human experience of Virta. Hey there, listeners. It's Teresa Link, and this is Your Life Reset. We are live today from San Francisco. Super exciting. And I am joined with my good friend and colleague, Amit Shah. He is our COO, so Chief Operating Officer here at Virta. He is a very busy professional. He's a dad of 2 little kids. He is a husband of a wife who he lovingly calls the boss. So we know she makes all the decisions of the house. And, he's also an up and coming Instagram star. So, when he's not doing all this, chasing his kids around and trying to help run the company and chasing likes on Insta, he is also a dedicated low carb eater and also a vegetarian. So we're going to really explore that today and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. So Amit, so excited that you're here live.
I'm very grateful that you invited me to be on the podcast, Teresa. I'm an avid follower and super excited to be here.
Yeah. I'm super excited to talk to you about some challenges that a lot of our members have. A lot of our members will say, well, I can't do this if I'm a vegetarian, or I can't do this if I eat a lot of foods that are important to me and my, my culture and my background. And we really want to kind of bust that and help people understand that, yes, you can. There are ways that you can make this work. Some are a little bit more creative than others, and that's okay. You don't have to be perfect, but that's kind of the whole point, is for us to kind of talk casually about how you, kind of make this work in your own life.
I'm excited to do that.
Yeah. All right. So as a vegetarian, Amit, and again, you've got a super jam-packed schedule. You're doing lots and lots of different things, lots of travel, just juggling a lot of things in life, right? What made you want to throw eating low carb into this kind of circus?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And I'll start by saying I didn't intentionally want to throw low carb in. When I first joined Virta, I was really impressed with the clinical outcomes that we had. And I'm a big believer in, hey, I want to try the product and see how it works. And so I said, I'm going to try it for 30 days. I remember telling I just gotten married at the time. I remember telling my wife, the boss, that, hey, I'm going to try this for 30 days, see how it goes, kind of understand the product. And so, and so I did. And I had a wonderful coach. Her name was Teresa.
Oh,
it was you.
Here's another Teresa.
And I remember talking to you about it and saying, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. Help me figure it out. And honestly, the first couple of days going through adaptation was hard. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, thank you. I only committed to doing this for 30 days. Thank God. But then
also you started adapting while you were being thrown into your first 3 days at Virta. And I was
totally
not sure that's the best idea, but hey, let's just go all in if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, totally. Because again, I didn't know what I was getting into. And then after the first 30 days, I really felt so good. And I had lost, I'd started to lose a fair amount of weight. I think I lost 5 or 6 pounds by that point. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to stick with it. There's no downside to sticking with it. And it wasn't a conscious, I'm going to do this forever. It was hey, I'm going to stick with it. And then I remember the first real challenge, or the first real thing that got tough, is I went home for Thanksgiving. And, I'm Indian. My mom makes great Indian food. There's a lot of, you can eat Indian food with a lot of carbs, naan and rice and all those kinds of things. And so I went home and I thought, yeah, I'm home. I'm not committed to doing this forever. So I'm just going to, eat whatever. And that week, throughout the course of the week, I kind of felt worse and worse. Every morning I'd wake up, feel a little bit more lethargic and feel a little bit less kind of ready for the day. I remember coming back and I had gained maybe a couple of pounds, but it wasn't the weight gain so much as just how I felt.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got back from that Thanksgiving, I was like, I'm going to stick to this because I just feel so much better. And so that's how low carb got thrown in, you know? And so yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think a lot of our members kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
They think, okay, I'll give this a shot and we'll see. And then they feel so good and they're
Mhm.
sleeping better. They have more mental clarity. They're dropping some weight. They like that.
Mhm.
And a lot of our members too are, as in our clinical outcomes, they are dropping medications really
Yeah,
quickly, and they're so excited about that. It's like, okay, why would I stop doing this?
completely.
And then I hear a lot of them, will say, okay, I totally went off the rails, right?
Mhm.
Even though I don't like to say, going off the rails. This is just a
Mhm.
lifestyle. There's
Yeah.
no on and off, but they'll maybe eat a lot of foods that their body doesn't tolerate very well, right?
Mhm.
And they feel awful and they're like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. I have, you know, about a decade ago, I first started, going low carb.
Mhm.
Originally, I just wanted to drop
Yeah.
10 pounds for my wedding. I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And as a dietitian, I was
Mhm.
like, it's totally unsafe.
Yeah.
Ketosis is going to kill me. And, but I'm just going to do it for like 6 months. And
Yeah.
then I'll totally just go back to what I was eating, low fat, lots of whole grains, lots of
Mhm.
vegetable and
Yeah.
fruit, right? I'll just go back to that. And I tried. I After the wedding, I tried to go back and I just was like, I can't go back. I
Yeah.
can't go back. And that's when I started really diving into you know, Dr. Finney's
Mhm.
work, Dr. Volek's work, Dr. Westman's work. And
Yeah.
I read the New Atkins for a New You. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh my gosh, the science is all here. I don't need to be afraid of this. And
Yeah.
I was kind of just from then on, I was a believer.
Yeah.
And I used to, even though I was a believer, I kind of still I would call myself the weekend warrior, where I would kind of go on this insulin fest
Yeah.
every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then on Monday I would like get back at it. And that worked for, I'd say, a few years,
Yeah.
honestly, when I was
Yeah.
younger and my body could kind of bounce back. But over time, it started to really fight me on that,
Yeah.
and so I just fully, committed to every day I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna go on this insulin fest over the weekend. And I just realized, okay, I get to feel good every day.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I want to feel good every single day?
Totally.
And that's really been my driver
Yeah.
for continuing this lifestyle. It just, yeah, I just feel good, all the time. And so I think that's a huge motivator for a lot of our members in terms of, is this something that I want to try to sustain?
Yeah.
Or am I just viewing this like as a short term, fix? Because
Yeah.
it's not a short term fix.
I totally agree. And one of the things I have often told people, over the years that say, "Hey, I'm going to try Verta," is really try it for kind of 4, 6, 8 weeks. Pick a time period that you feel comfortable, and like really, really do it, and then see how you feel.
Mhm.
And oftentimes, actually, most of the time, I found that people feel so good after those. Again, the first week is tough, keto adaptation and whatnot. And then you start to feel so good and start to see the results that honestly, at that point, then it's more about, and I think we're going to talk about this in a moment, it's more about how do you make it a part of your life,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
how can you make it sustainable for yourself? That is a big part of where I think Verta really helps and where I, after now, gosh, 9 years of being low carb and vegetarian, I'm like, it's just like natural to me.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, but it all started with just feeling good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's natural to you. I can relate to that. I'll go out to eat, right? And I'll order a burger and then I'll say, I'm not a vegetarian. So I'll order a and when I travel, I'm always like, I need some red meat. I don't know why, but when I travel, I get my body just craves red meat more than anything. So I'm like, I need a burger, I need a steak, or I need like some fatty fit. I need some salmon, and I always feel better when I do that because that's my
Yeah.
body needs. And half the time, probably more than half the time, I'll order a burger
Yeah.
and I will forget to say without the bun because I just assume, like, who eats the bun
Yeah.
anymore?
Yeah.
Like, and then I'll be like, oh wait, I don't want a bun, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh okay,
Yeah.
because do you want a pretzel bun or do you
Yeah.
want like a whole, and I'm like, oh no, I don't.
Yeah.
Who eats that?
Yeah.
Oh okay, I totally forgot.
Yeah.
People do eat the bun, and that just kind of shows how
Mm.
long I've been doing it and how integrated into my life it is that sometimes you forget
Yeah.
that other people do,
Yeah.
do eat that stuff, I just find that a little bit humorous. But you mentioned really making it part of your life. You mentioned that you eat a lot of Indian food.
Yeah.
Um, So tell me about some of those foods that are particularly high in carbs. We know that
Yeah.
low carb and Indian food are not necessarily always the most compatible,
Yeah.
but they really can be.
Mhm.
So talk to me about some of those specific foods. You mentioned naan,
Yeah.
and there are plenty of other,
Yeah.
rice. There
Yeah.
are lots of others. How have you kind of modified those
Yeah.
over the years, and have there been like any massive fails where you're like, this just did not turn out?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Totally. Well, the first thing I'll say that what I've learned, and I learned this relatively quickly, is with Indian food, you can eat all the stuff, most of the stuff that I really love is actually like the sabji or the shak or what's the vegetable with the curry and all that. Like I eat a lot of paneer and I eat a lot. It's like saag paneer is one of the things that's like a
Hmm.
staple in our house. We're having it at least once a week. I eat a lot of the veggies that are cooked with curries and things like that, and most of it is relatively low carb. We'll come back to lentils in a minute. As a vegetarian, I need a good source of protein. Lentils are a part of that source. And for me personally, it doesn't make my blood sugar spike in a way. I could stay in ketosis eating lentils, so that works really well. And honestly, I just avoid things like naan and rice. I've replaced with cauliflower rice. Honestly, I just go no rice often.
Yeah,
I used to do a lot of cauliflower rice. I've cut back on it for no other reason other than like we have 2 kids and I don't have time to cook things all the
sure.
time. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll just eat, the core.
I will
And
say the
then,
first time I had Indian food with cauliflower rice was at your house, and the boss
yeah,
made the cauliflower rice.
yeah,
I couldn't believe it because she
yes,
taught me, you can't just microwave it, right?
yeah,
You have to put it in a pan and you have to saute it up like you do regular rice, and you have to
totally.
kind of like dry it out a little bit.
Yes,
And
yes.
honestly, it was so good, and we had that with like saag paneer, and we
Yeah.
had it I think also with some marsala, the
Yeah.
chicken,
Yeah, the butter
the
chicken or
butter
whatever.
chicken,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
So now, like, order Indian takeout
Yeah.
at home, and I just throw in some cauliflower rice into a pan, and I'm like, "This is great." I mean,
Yeah.
this is no different
Yeah.
than what it was, before. It was
Totally.
amazing. It
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back to
Anyway, so I'll
some of
go
the.
back to your question. So on big fails, actually one of the biggest fails I had isn't even Indian food. I was trying to make dessert one time,
Yeah,
and I forget exactly what it was. It was like it was like this chocolate mousse and low carb, and it was like okay, like use dark chocolate, and then it was like use stevia and all. And first of all, I'm not a chef. I don't cook that often, like very rarely. And cooking for me is like throwing things together so that I can consume them. It's not
sure.
like
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not like But I was trying to do this. I think I was trying to impress upon the boss that low carb was totally doable and all. And man, I there's like the recipe were called for some bay leaves and then some stevia and all, and put it all in. And this just tastes like cough syrup. Like it just tasted so bad. And like it was early on in my low carb journey, and I was trying to like impress upon my wife that like, hey, we could do this, it'll be great. And I think I had to like completely retreat. I was just like, like not gonna this isn't it. By the way, she since perfected the heavy cream dark chocolate
Ooh,
whip
yeah.
that is delicious, but what I made was was no good. And then the other low carb thing that my mom actually figured out a little bit, dosa, which is a South Indian dish, which is
Okay.
generally made from rice flour. She makes it with like, quinoa and like some other stuff that again is moderate in carbs, but lower carb and then has a lot of fiber. And so I found that I could eat a little bit of that versus like it's hard to really eat any dosa that's made with rice flour. It's relatively high carb versus eating something that is like lower carb and eating a little bit less of it
Yeah.
has worked out. So
Yeah, you don't have to like go all out like,
yeah,
okay, this has some carbs in it, so I'm just going to eat the whole thing, right? You
yeah,
can
yeah,
you can have smaller portions of it and enjoy it still, and honor that time with your family
yeah,
and those, cultural traditions,
yeah,
and still it doesn't have to be all or nothing, which I
yeah.
think is, so great.
That's actually I would say that is like the biggest lesson for me is I focus on trying to be in ketosis. Like
Mhm.
I actually don't in my I'm not I don't have a constant calculator in my head of the number of carbs I've eaten in a day. That's just too hard while I'm traveling and when the kids, I'm feeding the kids and all. I just like I can't keep track of that as easily. And so my like gold standard is I'm checking my biomarkers. When I'm at home, I step on the scale every day before I get in the shower. It's just part of my routine. And I'm checking my ketones once or twice a week. And that's my gold standard. And like, as long as that's happening, I know I'm doing okay. And if that's not happening, then I'm like adjusting things along the way. And the reason I say that is because then throughout the day, I literally like look at stuff and I'm like, oh, I can eat that and I can eat that. And I'm going to, like, and then I eat those things.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes that involves eating a quarter of a naan. And like, because I really am craving it in that moment. And to your point, it's high carb if you eat like two pieces of naan or like two
Yeah.
things of naan. It's not that high carb if you're eating a quarter of one and
Yeah.
you're eating it with the stuff that you can eat. And like, yeah, anyway, so that to me, it's like that what you said is a big piece of it. It's like focusing on what I can eat and what I'm trying to get to. And I'm the type of person where I can have a little bit and feel satiated.
Yeah.
I know not everyone's like that, but that works for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little bit more of the abstinence is easier than moderation, but I
Mm,
think it's so good to just know, like, who are you
yeah.
and what works for you.
Yeah.
Can you have a little bit, or does that kind of throw you off?
Mhm.
And so just knowing that information about yourself, and it may take, several years to
Yeah.
figure that out, and that's
Yeah.
all right. I think is just a real is very powerful. It's not a weakness. It's a strength of yours.
Yeah.
But kinda going back to some of the foods that you mentioned, you're a
Mhm.
vegetarian. A big challenge, I think, with some of our members coming in is how do I get protein if
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have lentils or I'm not gonna have beans or I'm
Yeah.
not gonna have, quinoa or
Yeah.
these higher protein items that maybe, I have relied on as
Yeah.
a vegetarian. So how do you kinda navigate that? How do you get your protein in?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I worked with you a lot on this in the
Yeah.
early days, and so I almost feel like I should be asking you this question. But the things that I really focused on, one is, I do have a lot of dairy. I'm not vegan, and so things like heavy cream and cheese, and Greek yogurt is another one. I do full fat Greek yogurt that has protein. The Faye I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
That's one class of things I'd say that dairy. Another class of things is nuts. I eat a fair Costco mixed nuts are a big piece of our house. And actually, when I'm on the road, like I am now, I have a little thing of mixed nuts that I keep in my bag because
Uh-huh.
it's a great snack and
Yeah.
salty.
Travels
Anyway,
well.
travels well, totally. And then I do fake meat, like I think Impossible and Morningstar Farms and all that kind of stuff. They have really great, like, rich protein, low carb options
Yeah.
that I integrate. Actually, when I'm on the road, if funny enough, over the decade that I've been low carb, that is one thing that's changed a lot. Fake meat is way more available than it
Yeah.
was in the past,
And
and
it's
so
way better than it
yeah, and
started. It's
taste.
really come a long
Yeah,
way.
totally, totally.
Yeah.
And so that's one. And then for me personally, I have experimented enough with lentils and beans where again I can have, about I won't a little bit. I did this and I was like, is that half a cup? I don't know what that is. A quarter of a cup. I have no idea how much that is. But I can have a little bit and get the protein and not see myself out of ketosis. So I do eat some of that. Quinoa doesn't work for me very well, so I don't
Yeah.
do that. But like beans and lentils and like dals, which is how Indian people make their lentils, are like things that work pretty well for me. So that's kind of the spectrum of things I get protein from. I don't think I'm missing anything
Do
big,
you eat
but
eggs?
oh yeah, eggs. Oh my god, I totally forgot eggs. Yeah, eggs are like a major
Staple.
yeah, staple. Yes, I eat eggs, and like that's one of the ones that's great because like most of the stuff I mentioned, I also like give our kids
Mhm.
as their source of protein, and so all of that like works. But yeah, eggs, I at least a handful of times a week, eating a couple of eggs, and my favorite is like I'll mix bell peppers and eggs and fake meat, and make a little like breakfast burrito with a low carb tortilla,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
like after a run or a workout, that's like my go to.
Yeah. Yeah. This one's kind of funny, and this is, I am I do this all the time. Like, one time I wanted to well, let me ask you the
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
First
yeah,
first, so obviously we've repeated several times that you're a very busy professional. You were, on the road a lot.
yeah.
You may not always be able to have access to an Impossible,
Yeah,
burger or being able to sit down somewhere and get,
yeah,
get a meal. So, let's say you gotta really just grab something really fast.
yeah,
Maybe you forgot the Costco nuts, right? Like,
yeah. Wait,
maybe
this
you're
happens all the time. Okay,
okay,
then
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So what's something that you kind of in a pinch have had to make work, and it's just like, I mean, it's low carb.
Yeah.
It's gonna work.
Oh
Tell
man.
me about some of those weird things you've
Oh
had.
my gosh, Teresa, I like Okay, so airports are basically my nemesis. That's
Yeah.
like, for whatever reason I didn't eat, not full, and I'm on the way home, so my nuts are empty, like my nut pack is gone, and so I'm at an airport, and man, the things I have done. So one that comes to mind immediately is like the pizza without the crust. So I'll order like
Yeah.
like a veggie pizza, and I'll sometimes they'll do the thing where like they'll make it in front of you, and I'm like telling the people like put as many veggies on as
Yeah.
possible, extra cheese, and then I'll get it and I'll just like slide it off the crust, and people look at you like you are crazy. They're
Yeah.
just like, what is this guy eating? Like, but anyway, so I've done that. Oh man, I've done the like, okay, there's like you've got a green salad, and you've got like, can you and I'll try to, if it's one of those places you could order again, I'll try to get them to put like tons of cheese on it, and that. I've done the like coffee shop where they get the protein box, and it's like, hard boiled eggs and cheese and nuts basically. And like I'll do that. Yeah, I mean, those are some of the things I've done. Deconstructing food is probably like deconstructing a breakfast burrito. Like just
Yeah.
taking one of the things I've learned is like we use carbs in our life as wrappers. Like, there's food, and then like
Yeah.
it's like the crust of the pizza, or the tortilla, whatever. Like it just kind of like it's the wrapper, and so sometimes you could take the wrapper off and like eat the rest of it and be
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah, you
But
just need a
yeah,
fork and a bowl or,
yeah,
you
the
know.
the the dirtiest looks were the deconstructed pizza, because it's also a little bit messy,
Sure.
and so
Yeah.
like there's like sauce everywhere, and also yeah, that
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, that I've done that
My
a lot.
I the cheese sliding off the pizza is definitely like, a staple in my life, I would
Yeah,
say.
man.
I enjoy going to, college football games
Yeah.
with my dad and my brother. That's sort of something we try
Mhm.
to do that at least, once a season, or a couple times. And they have this, in the stadium, they've got a pizza that is so good, and it's, just by the
Yeah.
slice. It's called Valentino's, and it's
Yeah,
just like, oh yeah,
yeah.
that is a Nebraska staple.
Yeah.
And so I will get like a couple of slices, and I'll just like, it's the type of cheese that's really thick,
Yeah.
and it just like comes right
It
off.
globs right off,
And I'm
yeah.
like, hey, do you guys want the crust?
Yeah.
And my brother's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I go, well, I'm
Yeah.
just eating the cheese. Like it's delicious. It's like the best cheese, and it's got like the sauce, the sausage hamburger. Like it's
Yeah.
got everything I want. So I'll like order like four pieces of pizza, and I'll just like roll it up, and I'll just eat it. It's so good. And
Yeah,
people
totally.
give me weird looks, but like who cares? It's
Yeah.
it's working. It's
Yeah.
working fine. And one time, my one time my husband ordered a pizza, and there was a couple slices left that I guess he was gonna save for later. And then I went and I like slid the cheese off, and he was so I swear I got flack for that. I'm still getting flack for that like years later. So now I try to, I try to modify that and at least give him a warning.
Yeah,
Hey,
that
I've
you're
got some
gonna
I'm gonna
steal
I'm
his
gonna
food.
take the cheese off of this.
You hit another one, like the, going to, like, live events, I'll say generally, and, we've got young kids, so I don't go to that many, but, like, I went to, like, I live in Denver, so I went to, like, a Nuggets basketball game, and, like, that was hard, and again, I got a cheese pizza and slid the top off. I mean, the other, like, pizza at a concession stand is, like, $15. It hurt because
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god," like, but yeah, I think the 2 hardest are, like, are where you're, like, a captive audience, right? Airport and like concession stand at a place, but exactly like you said, like there's always something,
Yeah.
there's always something.
Yeah. I too am trying to be a budding Instagram star. And one time, except I don't know how to create reels. So you know, but one time I was like, I really just want to create this reel where it's like, here's my deluxe on the go, low carb meal. And then you just have, some like turkey slices from the deli, cheese stick, and you just roll it
Roll
up.
it up.
You're like, "And here's my very fancy low carb meal." And but then I was like, "That'd be really funny, but I don't know how to make a reel, so maybe I'll just give up on that." Um, I just say it to myself, and
Yeah,
I make myself laugh. So that's
someone can help you with
I
that real link.
you think
Someone,
so?
yeah, oh yeah, I think there's
Okay.
someone.
All right. Okay.
Only about like a billion active users on Instagram. He
Yeah,
wants
that's
to know
true.
one.
There's gotta be one person, but, like, yeah, I'm like, "How do I
Yeah, I'm with you though. I'm with
throw
you.
throw the phone across the room, I don't care." All right, so we've covered a lot of stuff today.
Yeah.
We've covered, um, how you can thrive as a busy professional.
Mhm.
We can cover, or we covered, how you can get some like easy hacks that don't have to be perfect, how
Yeah.
you can make things, as someone who's eating low carb or lower in carbs,
Mhm.
make it work for getting your protein,
Yeah.
make it work for maybe eating certain cultural dishes. And in your case, it's a lot of Indian food. So I
Mhm.
think we've covered a lot of stuff, and I
Yeah.
hope we've had some good hope we've been a little bit entertaining
Yeah.
for people that are watching.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that this has been a really informative and really, really great episode. And I hope that, our audience gets something out of it. So as we close out,
Yeah.
on a slightly more serious note,
Yeah.
slightly more serious, what's one or two pieces of advice that you would give someone who is, let's say, a vegetarian
Mhm.
and they are considering reducing carbs in their lifestyle? What's some advice that you might give them to kind of get started?
Oh man, I've got a bunch of advice running through my head.
Sure. Five pieces of
Yeah,
advice
five.
would also be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
What are the 12 pieces of advice? No, the ones that come to mind are number one, give it a good try for call it like 6, 8, 12 weeks. Like pick a period of time and really go low carb. Because again, first of all, I think it takes a while for your body to figure out what's happening, and then you will probably feel really good. That's what we see from the vast majority of our patients. And then evaluate, how that feeling versus, whether or not you want to stick with it. And don't think of it on day one as a lifestyle commitment. Think of it as a commitment for a period of time that, you could see some results. Two is like focus on the biomarker numbers, not the like focus on what's happening to your body,
Yeah.
not the this is weird, but like not necessarily like, the carb count. That's something I learned from you. Like the goal is to be in ketosis. The goal is to be burning fat primarily, and fat is very tasty. And so if you're
Yeah.
burning fat and you're able to eat it, like actually like I personally have found that I don't miss the carbs as much, but I think like the focus on, hey, am I burning fat is a better focus than like, am I eating low carb?
Yeah. That's a great
Like it's a
that's
bit
a
of a
great
mind
perspective.
shift. But then you learn like that you can eat more carbs, which leads or more or less carbs. Like you can figure out where you need to be on the spectrum, which leads to my number three, which is focus on what you can eat, and figure that out and keep experimenting with yourself. Like if you're the biomarkers are the guide, then the goal is to generally be in ketosis. And if you miss because you're experimenting and figuring out if lentils work for you as a low carb vegetarian, that's a good experiment to run for yourself. Try it for a couple of days, see what your ketone levels are, see how you're feeling. And if it works, then you've just added something new to the plate, and if it doesn't, okay, you learned, and like
Yeah.
you're not going to eat as much of that. And then the last one, and I'll end on this one, is like figure out, like you mentioned, if you're a moderator, like can you eat a little bit and get satisfied? I can eat a little bit of ice cream, I can eat a little, and if so, like then that's part of your daily carb total, and make sure you're staying in ketosis. Or if you're an abstainer and hey, I can't have any of it, then like figure that out for yourself, because
Yeah.
knowing that is helpful for yourself, and that influences your experimentation approach too. So yeah, I know that was like a bunch of things, but
That's
that's kind
okay.
of, yeah, that's
Yeah.
I don't know. I've done it for 10 years, and I do get to talk to a lot of our members and a lot of other folks that are trying it. Honestly, hardest people to talk to are those in your family.
Yes.
They're the
Yes.
ones that are most resistant. But this is, I think, has worked for a lot of folks I've spoken to. So
Yeah. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's live episode. This was super fun to get a chat with you.
this was great.
I really enjoyed our conversation, our back and forth, and most of all, some great advice, some great tips. So thank you for being here. This was super fun. I can't wait to do another one. So
I loved it. Thank you so
yeah,
much, Teresa.
yeah. All right. High
All
five.
right.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. And if you'd like to regain control of your metabolic health and feel like yourself again, check us out at Virta.com. That's VIRTA.com. Your Life Reset is for informational purposes only. and shouldn't be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Contact your provider if you suspect you have a medical problem. I'll chat with you all again soon. Until then, stay inspired, my friends.